You're listening to AchtungMillwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Bermondsey. Accept no substitute.
Absolutely, my plan and the club's plan is to get to the Premier League, and that's exactly what I'm here for.
Hello, dear listeners. That voice, you may not have recognised it, was our newest signing, George Honeyman, talking very boldly, I felt, about aiming for the Premier League for us, little old Millwall. Joining me to kick over one of the more exciting weeks in a long while, actually, at the Den, are two familiar voices. I've described him as a controversialist, rugby and cricket and Millwall controversialist. Mr. Neil Fissler, welcome to the show, Neil.
Hello, mate. How you going? Close the club.
Close the club. That's become a private joke every time we were losing players left, right and centre. And it became a private joke when Neil and I about close the club down. Controversialist ever, Neil Fissler. Also joining us is it horrified or is it happy Harry Warren this week, Harry?
I've bought my tickets for the HMS Pista League and I'm fully aboard the Gary Rowett train. I've bought all the tickets. I'm in all the raffles. I'm in all the bookies. 28-1 each way to finish top. Millwall bipolar at its finest, ladies and gentlemen.
It's reflective of social media generally. I mean, Neil, not for nothing have you been saying close the club, because it was looking a bit bleak at one point, not that long ago. Was it only a week? I can't remember when we started making signings now, but we've cleared a lot of baggage out, haven't we? Particularly, I think, with the departure of Jed, to get that settled, I think has been a step forwards for the club. Mate,
it was embarrassing the way people were going on last week. It honestly was embarrassing. Okay, yeah, you're disappointed that Jed Wallace was going to leave, but let's be honest, you should have got your head around it 6 to 9 months ago that he was going to go, because as soon as he didn't sign that contract, he was off. Yeah, I don't care what anybody says. He wasn't keeping his options open. His agent decided that they were going to leave at the end of the contract, and no matter what we offered, he wasn't going to stay. They strung us along a little bit. That's maybe a little bit strong, but in effect, it's what happened. Yeah. Lovelace, I think, is a similar type of situation. As soon as Gary Rowett said he hasn't signed a contract, we're still talking, the alarm bell started to ring. He was tapped up for whatever reason, and he's gone to Glasgow Rangers, but there's no guarantee that he's going to make it there.
No, there's not.
Well, basically, you look at the number of players that have left over the years. You look at David Amu. Is he a Port Vale or somebody? He allegedly left to go on to bigger and better things. Connor Wilkinson, is he at Orient or somewhere like that? He was going to leave for bigger and better things. For a kid his age, you either... Yeah, but it would have been okay if he stayed, but what you never really had. So, and they're always going to have a transfer policy in place, and it was just a question of just being a bit patient, not this alarmist social media.
Patience is not a virtue widely practiced at the Den, Harry, is it? Patience is in short supply. I mean, there's been a clear out, and I think. I agree with Neil. I think that Jed was always going to go, in truth. It's a shame because he had far more playing credit in the bank than perhaps the likes of Zach, who was only 16. Very hard at the age of 16 not to have your head turned by a European level name like Glasgow Rangers. I mean, I think my head would be turned, wouldn't yours, H, if you were blessed with that talent?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Jed situation was more that Jed was going to go. It was just Jed and his agent were waiting for the right move for Jed. Whether or not the right moves come around, that's questionable, because I think West Brom are going to either fly very high or be very mediocre, and we will find out very quickly, or they will be found out very quickly, as the Championship tends to do. But Lovelace is disappointing because you want to retain good young players in terms of our transfer policy long term to buy low, sell high, make profit to make us go up the table. Because to spend money on the new signings that we have, the Honeyman and the Bermondsey Burkamp, We have, he's been stuck with this moniker. I'm going to say, right, this has got all the Millwall hallmarks of it going really badly wrong before it's even begun. And it give him a nickname like the Bermondsey
Bird Camp.
Watch him struggle under the weight of expectation. I think the business is good. I understand that the club was saying like be patient, but we've been patient for a number of windows, and we end up, every time we come to like a deadline day, and that silly cunt gets on telly with the yellow tie. I won't even say his name. And the new Bermondsey Cuddle Club gets mentioned. Them kind of people, and it's transfer deadline day, or as Millwall fans call it, Tuesday. Normally, it's the
best material's coming out today. The old stand up.
Yeah, but that's what happens. We don't do business. We get loanees or we get freebies. So it's refreshing. We're sitting here with optimism because we have been recharged, re-energized, refreshed, a bit like the squad.
I think. I mean, Neil. Is it too much to call this an exciting week? I feel quite buzzed. I'm reminded of the 87-88 season when we made some big signings, in what turned out in the end to be a successful season. I mean, we're talking obviously about Zian Flemming. I'm hoping that's how you pronounce his name if you're listening. Zian. He seems to look the part. I mean, I think he's untried in our level, so the YouTube clips, Neil, have some fairly generous defending, but he looks like he's got the ingredients for the top. 1.7 million is Millwall's biggest club record signing. So,
the problem with YouTube clips is that they can be edited in such a way to make a player look good. Yeah, they're the same as show reels. Yeah, but they are in effect show reels that agents put together when they're trying to hunt a player around. Yeah, they cut out all the bad points, but they show all the good points.
Troy Parrott syndrome we are talking of, aren't you?
Yeah, but Troy Parrott, I think, came too early. Yeah. Troy Parrott last season at MK Dons came good because he's actually matured a bit. I think it was the wrong move. But it's the right move, probably at the wrong time for him.
And we do put pressure on these players, don't we? I mean,
exactly.
that's a thing that.
Yeah, there were
a
lot of comparisons between him and another striker that we signed off Tottenham, whose career's done quite well since. but as for this Bermondsey Burcast, a bit cringy and it's a bit social media. It's a bit 16 to 18-year-old, isn't it?
Is it not our demographic?
We're moving big into TikTok, so that's going to be the Catford Cruyff might be the wrong. I might be hitting the wrong notes.
We're trying to make money off you, dear listener. Oh no, wait, we're not trying to make money off you. Yeah.
I don't know.
I can understand why they do it. But all of a sudden, it creates pressure, a burden of expectation, as you said, Nick. Yeah, this guy looks a good player. They've obviously done their homework on him.
Yeah, I agree.
They wanted to sign him in January, didn't they? But was it Fortuna Stutter or whatever?
Is it
Sittard? Fortune Sittard.
Something like that. Sittard. Yeah, but that
would be a Millwall signing, wouldn't it? That'd be a Millwall's feeder club, Fortune Stutter.
But to be honest, they've maintained an interest in him. They've obviously done a lot of homework on him.
Yes, yeah.
So they're fairly confident. And let's face it, at a club like Millwall, you don't spend £1.7 million on a player unless you're confident he's going to bring something to the party. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, I was looking at his Wikipedia, which you can only go by.
How many times has it been edited by Millwall fans at this point?
Well, in fairness, I don't know anything about him, listeners, and I don't present myself to you as any kind of Euro pundit, not fount of knowledge. But you can only go by what you see. Neil's right about YouTube, Harry. And Troy Parrott looked like he was going to make an impact when, for many reasons, he didn't. But the Dutch league is a decent, a pretty good standard, I'd say. And his track record, he's played for young Ajax and won a championship out there with the Ajax feeder system before going on to Sittard, who are not Ajax, but he scored goals out there. So, the reports that you read online, which is all we've got to go by, seem to imply a player of some talent, some potential, which is, you've got to take your hat off to Mill for going for.
You do. I mean, he wasn't just linked with us, which is quite refreshing that and worrying at the same time. Forest were interested in him in January, apparently. Stiffard, rather. Stiffard.
We've gone from stutter to Stiffard.
Fortuna were not interested in selling him because they were trying to stay in the Eredivisie. And a bit like us, probably the reason that we didn't get rid of Jed was because we thought we had an outside chance of the playoffs. So they seem similar kind of clubs in that sense. He got into the Eredivisie team this season, sort of like, now these are all subjectionable. I don't know if that's the site that I saw that was from. I don't know if that's the reputable or it's by Garth Crooks. And anyone that watches Garth Crooks pick a best 11 of a week will know it's bollocks. So I don't know how reliable that is. But he was the striker. They were using him as a striker in the 4-4-2 with Haller, who flopped at West Ham in the Premier League. So that is a little bit of a worry, but scored 4 goals in the Champions League. So is it a worry? I think it's a statement of intent to the fans. I think it shows that we know what we need. We know that by losing Jed, we lost a key player and a creative, and to lose Jed and still feel positive a week down the line because we've done good business is something that I didn't think I'd see at my club. That's not really the Millwall I know. That sort of took the last 20 years of supporting the club with any kind of real sort of understanding, sort of past when I was 12, when we were a decent side and we started to lose players. This is the first time where we've lost a player and I've gone, okay, well, they've replaced them with this person. There seems a plan, which is a Millwall plans normally are taking ends. It's not normally signing players. It's very different.
It comes with good reviews. I mean, I picked out just a couple of comments from Twitter here, boys. I mean, this is a journalist, I think, called Josh Bunting. Don't know him. Zian Flemming is such a good signing for Millwall. He uses his body very well in duels and shields the ball well in tight spaces. He's also strong in the air and has a big leap on him. Covers a lot of ground and is quick in the transition. Effective with both feet in terms of control. I mean, Neil, some of those YouTube clips were long-range shots. He seems to be, have all of the ingredients, which is the kind of player we've been hoping for. The club goes into. We've seen other clubs. I'm thinking of Brentford. I keep mentioning Brentford, but they seem to have done some good business abroad and in their time. And that's what I've always hoped Millwall will be able to do. Maybe this is the start of something here.
Yeah, let's hope so. I've been calling for it for about 18 months, 2 years now, that we've got to broaden our horizons.
Yeah.
We've got to look at France, Belgium, Holland, Germany, those kind of countries where there are good young players and good value players. But I think the most important thing is that if he does well, we don't hang on to him for too long.
Well, that's key as well, isn't it? I mean,
we actually keep that money ticking over, because really we should have sold Jed Wallace 2 years ago. Really, shouldn't we?
With hindsight, yeah. But you're right.
He wouldn't sign that contract. He should have been out the door. Thank you very much indeed. We'll look to get on with the next one.
That's the mentality. I mean, Harry, we've mentioned that a few times on the show over time, haven't we? That developing that ruthlessness, which other clubs show, and we haven't traditionally, is going to be a key point. And so Neil's right. I mean, let's hope this boy Flemming, hits the ground running. But also we've got to be looking at the market at the right time for us as well, because that's how we're going to progress. Yeah,
I think the Jed thing is strange with the Jed thing. I think that I'm annoyed that we're doing this season, and this is the thing, because I think if you're doing this season, Jed's contract wasn't worth the money we've just spent on 2 people. It's not. Yeah, it's not going to have been there. So, the things that you have to do to convince a player that if Honeyman's comments are interesting in themselves, I've come here to play in the Premier League. So they've sold him the dream that we're on the cusp of the playoffs, can look to Rowett's finishes, and we're closer to the Premier League than what Hull are. Right, so you've got that player there. Fleming's looked at it, gone, right, shop window in England, get in England. If I don't get in the Premier League with them, I can move to the Premier League with another club. They'll probably get bought. They'll fancy me after buying them from their league. So yeah, playing in the Championship and being at the right end of the Championship is a good relationship for player and club. But I don't get why it's taken so long for this to be a strategy. It's the only strategy that allows Millwall to move forward as a club. I think the vast majority of fans want us to be in the Premier League for at least one season. I think a lot of people don't want it, but I personally do. So, I mean, let's be honest. If we get into the playoffs, we've had a great season. Any season that we get into the playoffs. If we get to the playoffs this season, we've had a fantastic season, whether we go up or not. But would that mean that we'd have to sell players? I'd guess there'd be players that would want to leave because we're not a retaining club. We don't have the money to pay people to stay at Millwall Football Club. And,
I think unless you're getting into the elite top levels, there are very few retaining clubs in the game generally. I don't think we're unusual really in that sense.
If I could pick up on one of Harry's points, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's taken us this long because I think Alex Aldridge has gone away and he has gone to Stoke, a club that have played in the Premier League recently. And he's taken a bit of knowledge from there because, let's face it, he came into the job from working for the Southwark News. Yeah, wasn't it? And
News at Den.
In the News at Den. And it's almost, okay, now you're a football scout. Yeah. So unless you've got that knowledge, I think he's gained a lot of knowledge with us. He's gone away to Stoke. He's spent, a season, 18 months, 2 years at Stoke.
I think about, 18 months.
Also done an advanced university course. So he's actually got a little bit more knowledge.
Yeah.
And he's brought that back. Yeah, but the last guy, Harvey, was it Bussell?
Bussell,
yeah. Probably a confidant of Gary Rowett's and was given the job. Didn't seem to stick around for too long, but now we're getting smarter. See, Alex has gone away. And let's face it, you look on Hoff last Wednesday or Thursday and Aldridge had to leave the club immediately. 24 hours later, after we signed Flemming.
Walk this way, Mr. Aldridge.
They want the blue renamed Alex Aldridge Way.
But you've actually got to be fair to Alex, to Steve Kavanagh, to John Berylson, who's backed them.
Who's funding this. Yeah.
And to Gary Rowett. We appear to have got a lot better. We're a lot smarter. That's why I wasn't panicking last week when everyone else was losing it and closed the club, not playing the ground for housing. We're finished. Relegation. You still had another 2 months of the transfer window. Don't panic because everything comes out on the first day. They obviously had a plan. We're an established Championship club now. We were going to let Jed Wallace walk out the door and not have a plan to replace him. They've had long enough. It's not like they found out.
It's not the Millwall I know.
But it's not the Millwall I know. And I love that saying. But they have got a lot more professional. You have to. We're playing one step away from the Premier League. It's not we're pitching up every week and hoping we're going to stay in the Championship. We are now an established Championship club. And, okay, every season I just hope for mid-table and anything above that's a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I don't think we'd have retained Gary Rowett if we didn't show a little bit of ambition. I think he'd have probably buggered off a long time ago.
I was looking at one of the recast interviews. It was with Gary Rowett prior to some of these signings. Actually, I think he mentioned how he's got to show some patience, which I think was a repeat point made over recent weeks. But he was saying about how you get there are phases where players become available. So he was talking about picking up players in like now, but there may be another phase. I'm guessing as the kickoff of the season approaches, where deals can be done at prices and wages that are better than what you might get right now. So I think
Premier League clubs have already done their business, and then you either have players that are surplus to requirements, or they sign a central defender and say a good youngster then becomes available, they think, okay, we won't keep him around here, we'll ship him out.
It's about
So
holding your nerve, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, so you have to be a little bit patient. It's no good. Okay, Dan Ballard, yes, I'd have liked him to have stayed, but realistically, maybe not. It would require a big commitment. It would require a big commitment from John Berylson to finance that. But then again, I do believe in speculation accumulation. Yeah, you keep hold of him for a year, 18 months, and you're going to get 2 or 3 times what you paid for him back.
Yeah, if it works well, yeah.
Okay, you might have to give Arsenal a 25-30% of your profit, but it's probably worth it at the end of the day. And that's the way you got to keep on. Yeah, but that's the way that modern football is. You cannot think the old way. You know?
No, I agree.
The way that you bring in modern football. And Christ, if I'm thinking it must be it must be the newfangled TikTok.
I think Sunderland must have given him I don't know if is that actually done now. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen anything official. There's been,
I think.
Yeah. So if he's, I reckon Sunderland have given him a big wage. That Charlie Mepham off of Sunderland Till I Die second series, who I loathe entirely from his toes to the tip of his hair. He's a very good businessman, and that's something that we traditionally haven't been good businessmen. We've been a good family club, but we are not good businessmen, and we need to learn to be good businessmen.
You mentioned George Honeyman already, H. There's another signing, obviously. We've mentioned Zian Flemming, but George Honeyman was a player that I quite like. I mean, you always get different reactions online. Some people are underwhelmed, but I don't know who they're expecting us to sign.
Millwall fans will always be underwhelmed.
Well, you can sign Lionel Messi.
Who is this Jimmy Abdu? I've never heard of him.
Yeah, but exactly. Yeah, we could sign Lionel Messi tomorrow and somebody would be underwhelmed, wouldn't they?
Isn't he past it? Yeah. He's always injured. I mean, George Honeyman, we started the show with the quote, and I like anyone that talks about Premier League as being the aim. I think that's why we're all here in the end.
Yeah.
And he seems to be, a box-to-box workhorse midfielder, but he does seem to represent... Harry, you've mentioned leadership a few times in our conversations, and he does seem to represent that, doesn't he? He seems to be a player that G's things up in the dressing room.
Yeah, it's another George to the midfield. I'm sure that's going to be really confusing in that dressing room.
George. Yeah.
George and George. I know which George I want to leave the club. No prizes through, because Gary Rowett likes a centre midfielder, ladies and gentlemen. He likes a centre midfielder, and he likes someone that's played for Derby or a previous club. But this person hasn't played for these previous clubs, so I was shocked by that. But I think that it's a statement of intent. I've always liked him. I really liked him on the Sunderland Till I Die. If you want to learn a little bit about his character, in the first season of Sunderland Till I Die, he's there, and the wheels are falling off around him. But he's the only player in that keeps wanting the ball, isn't scared to take the ball on. And so fucking stadium of lights, what, 50,000 odd people?
Big stadium, yeah.
Big stadium, fucking all on your back because you're getting relegated with Chris Coleman in charge, getting dogs abuse. And he still wants the ball. Now, if you played there with 40,000, 50,000 shouting at you, it'll be fine at the Den. It won't be a problem because...
Yeah, with 8,000 all wanting the...
8,000. I think I take my chances at the Stadium of Light.
Yeah, exactly.
I found this quote, Neil, from it's a Hull City blog, The Likes of Hull City, it's called. And they said, I'll never agree with selling George Honeyman, let alone in our league. He's too good, too important, and too effective. It won't sit right with me, says this Hull City blog. And that's all music to our ears, mate, isn't it? It does seem like a Millwall player,
George Honeyman was talked about as being one of the next big things when he was at Sunderland, when they were in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Wouldn't he? He was expected to he could play for England and all of this lot. And he scored a blinding goal against us last season, let's not forget.
Right, yeah.
Great signing. It's one that, you're happy that we've made that signing because he's in the first team of one of our rival clubs. Yeah, it's not like he's a Luke Freeman knocking around the reserves.
Oliver Burke.
Somewhere like that, yeah.
We'll come back to him.
Yeah.
His agent is fucking unreal, mate.
We'll come back to him.
But yeah, no. Yeah, but he isn't a player that was knocking around the reserves. He was
No, he's involved. Yeah.
and they're absolutely sickened that we're letting him, but they've let him go to us. So that says a lot about the way we're conducting our transfer business this summer. Yeah,
Yeah,
say that Alex Aldridge and Gary Rowett and Kavanagh are approaching things. We've gone to. Yeah, well, you think 18 months ago, would we have approached Hull for George Honeyman, one of their best players?
Highly doubtful.
Not in a bloody month of Sundays.
I'll be honest, I don't think 2 weeks ago I would have thought we'd have gone for anyone, let alone anything
Yeah,
else.
1 week ago you didn't think that.
No, that's it.
Let's
That's it.
be honest, mate.
I can't believe that, touching on that, there's a rumour that QPR are looking at Danny McNamara that's popped up on Twitter.
don't
How
buy
much
that one.
credence that is.
Yeah, 2.5 million quid. That wouldn't even buy one of his testicles, would it?
Exactly. No, that's it. Right. But this is the level that we've talked about selling people. 2.5 million is probably about 10, maybe 15 million light of what a young right back goes for now that can do what Danny Mac can do. It's the market for that type of player, someone that can play in that system and do what he does. That's the way teams want to play now. So understanding people's worth is something that, again, we've bought Honeyman because he's going to bring something to our midfield that we don't have. He's a different type of midfield than what we've got. We're slowly, bit by bit, building the system that we want to play to. And at the end of the day, there is life after Jed, and hopefully,
absolutely.
Hopefully, it ends up with us. I would want. I mean, if we start like a train, we never start fast. But if we did for a change, it would be so refreshing. I just think we'd be swept up in it, and we'd go on. But we won't start fast because we never do. But if we did, we'd ride that wind to the World Cup.
Yeah, there's no reason why we can't start fast.
No, there isn't. There isn't.
Achtung, Millwall.
I was really struck. I mean, I just picked out. This is a tweet from Hull City's official Twitter account saying goodbye to George Honeyman. They say, "We would like to thank George for his work ethic, his dedication, and his immense contribution to the club, and wish him well for the future." That's work, dedication, and immense contribution, listeners. Now, if that's not Millwall through and through, I don't know what is.
But let's hope it just wasn't club bullshit.
I mean, it's a regular theme that you read about him. So,
that's quite a departure from everything that he's shown.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's an exciting signing. I think with him and Flemming, and then you're going to come on to others. It's been a decent week, to be quite honest.
It's been an exciting week.
You're getting more happy as we go along here, Neil. I can see it.
I've been happy all along, to be quite honest. You're the one that's been predicting that.
I'll come back to this. I've been happy. I'll come back to this when we've been beaten 1-0 by Rotherham, and come back to you and go. When you said you were happy all along, are you happy now? I
want to move us along away from Rotherham to the beautiful streets.
No one wants to live in Rotherham.
Get ourselves away from the pubs of Rotherham into the street cafes of Bruges, and that moment where Bennick was just about to raise a cooling glass of Lethe beer, Neil, with some chips of mayo, celebrating his move, and the deal. His 2-year deal collapsed. I'd love to know what made it collapse, wouldn't you? What
it was a 3-year deal, apparently, wasn't it?
What made it collapse?
Apparently, what an amazing piece of business. Although, yet again, we listen to some people online and on some of the message boards, and he's the worst player that's ever walked in through the door.
12 goals, which will be substantial loss.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of shit strikers we've had. We could be here a long time discussing ones that are worse. Should we start with Akinbayek and Fenwar and move our way down? Should we start in A?
Yeah, well, we could be, but well, let's face it. He might not be the quickest player in the world, but he actually knows where the goal is,
and he's got nous in the box, Neil. I mean,
yeah.
Of course, he can finish better. In fact, I was interested to see the interview. It was on the news at Den with Gary Rowett, where no pressure, as Michael put on our group chat about he wants him to be a 20-goal plus striker, and he says he has that potential. I believe he does. I think he's that good, but he just hasn't had the chances.
Chances for him to become a
No.
striker. That's the
I
problem.
want to win 170 million on Friday on the Euro Millions, but just because I want it, don't mean it's going to happen.
I want him to be a 20-goal striker too. I think he's got some real flair and some real imagination in the box area. I mean, some of the moves he made last season were top draw. I mean, it's something we don't see much at Millwall, and I think when you do see it, especially in the flesh at the Den, it lifts your spirits. It gets you out of your seat. That's what it's all about for me. So I was really happy to see Bennett make that mad dash back to Bruges Central Station, get the train home back to Brussels.
It's 12 goals, isn't it? I mean, it's good that we've kept him. I mean, I'm still on the fence about him. I think he misses chances that I can't believe he misses, and he'll take one that's ridiculous. That is
all strikers are like that.
Yeah, there are, but I think for me, I can't believe how good Bradshaw is when we serve him up a chance that he actually likes. He likes lone fizzed balls across him. He loves if he's in between the stick, a bit like later day Michael Owen when his pace went, that they just position himself in front of the goal and he'll finish it. That's what Bradshaw does. So they're two very different types of strikers. They work well together, and they do seem that interview is probably the best bit of social media that Millwall have put out for a very long time. Probably since the Tim Cahill return video, to be honest, the one where Bradshaw is trying not to swear constantly because he's made up that his mate's back. I
say fuck on it, can't we?
In Millwall, we can say fuck. You can't
say what you like. It just can't be done officially. That's all. They might have to be careful.
The car got nicked, so I'm now one of them. It's one of them. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, are we stronger with him in the team than without? Of course we are. So is it a good signing? Of course it is. That's the simple fact. Are we? Do I think we still probably need another striker? Yeah, we probably do. We needed another striker last season, something a bit different. We don't have, we don't really have a target man to it. In some games, we are crying out for someone that just make it stick up there. But we maybe are going to be a different proposition this year. Maybe we won't be so reliant on that. Maybe we're going to play, passing, tiki-taka, Bermondsey, Barcelona style football. Maybe we will. I don't know. I don't know.
Bermondsey, Barca.
Bermondsey, Barca, New Bermondsey Cuddle Club, whatever you want to call them.
We I mean, just to coin an ancient phrase from the past, was it Mark McGee who first came up with the phrase "irons in the fire"? Neil, I'm sure it was Mark McGee. with irons are in the fire. I mean, I was just dug these out of news at Den listeners talking about forwards, Harry. Apparent interest in a Senegalese forward. Don't know anything about Papa Habib Gueye.
Yeah, we tried to sign him in January, didn't we?
Plays for Kortrijk in Belgium. 5 goals in 16 games before injury ended his season last term. I mean, that's hopeful. That's the kind of talk I like.
That he's been injured.
No,
that's a Millwall signing right there. Luke Freeman, eat your heart out.
Bring him in, wheelchair him in. It'll be good in 6 months.
What a 12 minutes this will be.
Yeah, funnily enough, we're going on about why did Afobe's move turn down or fall through. Yeah, well, I've actually got visions of Alex Aldridge running through the streets of Bruges. Bennett, sign for Millwall.
Sign with a shirt. Can I have your shirt, please?
Big contract saying we'll give you what we were going to give Jed. Sign that.
That's an iron in the fire, listeners. We wait to see, and as we record this show, we have no more news on Papa Habib Gueye.
Honestly, what do you think we actually need? This is more of a question. I know people are very het up about we should get this player, we should get that player. Like some of the players that we had on loan last season were shit. I'd
say we need someone to challenge Danny McGarry, wouldn't you? I mean,
we need a right back.
It can't be Ryan Leonard.
I see Ryan Leonard as potentially filling in that role, but I do agree that would be advantageous. I think we need another 2 central defenders, 1 central defender, depends on where you see Ryan Leonard playing. Yeah. Do you need somebody that can? Well, we definitely need another forward. We've needed another forward for 2 or 3 seasons, haven't we?
Probably
But we've
since
never
Morrison
quite
and
got
Gregory.
Well,
one.
what's one of the other irons in the fire? Talking about
Yeah.
central defenders is Charlie Cresswell of Leeds. Has some Premier League experience, 19-year-old. So we're talking about a loan deal there, listeners. We're not talking about outright
There's
deal.
nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a loan
I
deal
don't think so.
from a Premier League club.
A season-long deal, so you can rely on him for the season, and you take your view in the summertime.
Yeah.
I mean, Harry, I mean,
Yeah, I'd almost like to sign him for 2 years if we could. I know that occasionally Premier League clubs do let. I think Jack Harrison joined Leeds
go on a 2-year deal,
loan, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, let him come down here for a couple of years, and see how good he is.
so that's our second iron in the fire. Charlie Cresswell, we'll see.
Achtung, Millwall.
I mean, Neil, Dutch Lions. I was just going back to Zian Flemming. I couldn't. I was actually struck by how few Dutch players we've had over time.
Hoeveld?
See if we can name them, Harry. Go on. Who Veld 2015, 2014?
There's one he won't get because it's far too early for his.
No, you got to wait. You got to wait. That's crescendo. We're going to build up to the one that you've got there, Neil.
Yeah, no, I can't even remember his name. So there we go.
Is there only 2? Is there only 2?
No.
How many is there?
Well, there's Hoeveld, 15 appearances, 1 goal in 2014-15. Joshua Hoeveld, Michael Kieftenbeld, obviously we've just lost 28 appearances, 11 as a sub, no goals from Michael. Barry Powell.
That
was Dutch.
Yeah,
that was the name I was going to come up with. I know I thought that he was Dutch, but I wasn't 100% sure. There's another one, Etienne Verveer. He was
great player.
He was Dutch Suriname, wasn't he, or something?
That's Suriname, but I think he qualified for Holland. But yeah, that's Suriname was his national. 54 appearances, 91, 95. One of the most completely grammatically incorrect. So the most flair players I've ever seen. Anyway, you get the picture, listeners. 10 goals for Etienne, including one classic against Palace. Here's one that I think would strain even the memories of the likes of me. Do you remember Romano Sion, Neil? 1992 to 93. 1 appearance.
He didn't play. Yeah, but he didn't play more than a game or 2, did he?
No.
But
I can remember it as a name, and he used to appear regularly in the programme. But I can't say I can remember Romano Sion. I'm trying desperately to flick through Neil's WhatsApp messages where he names the other one. Here we are. 1929, even before my time, Harry. An amateur goalkeeper called Gerrit Kaiser. 1920.
Done well with that name about 10 years later, wouldn't he?
He played.
Or 10 years earlier.
He played for. He didn't play. He was just on our books briefly as an amateur.
He played a load of reserve games in the football combination and played, I think, in the Southern League. We're going to do a history pod on him at some point anyway to introduce him properly. But he actually went on to play for the Arsenal, and I think he made a few first team appearances.
Oh wow!
For the club down the road,
Charlton,
that live in our.
We have a lot of strange sort of nuances with countries that have played for Millwall. Like Dutch, just maybe that's an indictment of the football we play that we don't have many Dutch masters.
If you include Gerrit, there's six Dutch players over our history, which is not many, given that we're a dockside club where Dutchmen would have been regulars, in and around the areas. But I mean, my favourite Dutch player there would be Etienne, the wonderful, wonderful player. 54.
But I was told by an agent some time ago, a football agent, that Millwall didn't want to sign foreign players. That it wouldn't go down well with the fan base. I said, well, yeah, but if they're good enough, they'll go down well.
Well, that I don't buy.
Was it something to do with the Russians turning up? Might have burnt everyone's fingers for a long period of time.
Yeah, well, that was a lifetime's worth of pain and misery. Them two turning up and bankrupt.
I mean, they're the only Millwall video on that Tifo football thing that's related to Millwall. They do ones on like Forest, Villa, all big stories. It's the only one that Millwall are drawn into.
I don't.
Pictures of the old den.
The reason I agreed with that statement that we didn't want foreign players, but I put that down to lack of imagination on the club's part. I think that that would be what lies behind that. Strangely, for all the club's reputation, I actually think we've always taken to foreign players quite well, really. It's one of the things that's faded away from our club in recent times. But I'm hopefully, keep my fingers crossed, that we see
Well, they become
the best of Zian.
They tend to become talismanic, don't they? They tend to be not a joke, because that's the wrong way of saying it, but like the Jimmy Abdou type thing of, even now, like when he was playing in the African Cup of Nations over Christmas, I'm watching Comoros because he's still
Jimmy's in it.
Because Jimmy's there. It's our Jimmy. He's our Jim.
Yeah.
You sort of take him. When Cahill played for Australia, even though he hadn't played for us for like 3 or 4 years, when they qualified for the World Cup, it's Tim. Like it's Timmy Cahill. Like we're gonna watch the game. It's
Yeah.
We tend to, a bit like what we said earlier on. We tend to hold these players in revere like they're ours. They're our little, our little bit of flair, our little bit of.
We've got a piece of them.
It's like when you've got something, a special bottle of booze that you've put away for Christmas dinner. It's that's what they're like. They're like our little. They come out with the best china. We sort of wrap them up in little bits of cotton wool. It's a very strange sort of Millwall thing.
All the time after going to Wimbledon the other day, don't it?
Yeah, that was interesting. I might do another show another day about my Wimbledon experiences, listeners. It was an interesting day out with Mrs. H. Next season, boys, 5 substitutes. New EFL substitution rule. Gary Rowett has hinted it might give him more flexibility. I would imagine it would do, Gary. To attack late in the game, you can bring on attacking wing backs. Let's see how that works out.
Wow.
Let's see how that works out. The attacking Gary Rowett with his foreign players.
Holloway's re-entered the building. 9 attackers.
Yeah, there'll be 5 substitutes that you struggle to think, why did he make them 5? We'll be bringing on George Long to play up front, won't
That is it.
Gary's going to be putting on that Steve McLaren Dutch accent. He's going to be for sure. As the fans who love our foreign players.
Well, I was thinking we're taking a sweepstake on how long till every single George at the club has managed to play a minute in the first team this season.
Oh dear. My bookmakers
this season, mate. All 3 are starting.
Well, George Long won't start, will he? Because Bart will be in goal, surely.
Yeah, but it depends, though. What happened? Yeah, but apparently Bart's off, if you believe some.
Is he? Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, no, he isn't. It was somebody had a mate who knew someone who said that.
The highly reliable sources that fuel Millwall.
One of the HP sources that hang around Millwall.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody always has a mate, don't they? A mate for every occasion. But no, he'll be there, but unless he gets injured pre-season or something.
William Hill's odds, listeners. We don't hold him with bookmakers in football Germany, but this is interesting. We're 25-1 to win the championship, Harry. I don't think we've got enough in the squad.
That's got shorter because I had it at 28-1, so that's short.
That's shortened down to win.
I don't think we'll win it, but
no.
I had it each way paying 4 places.
Favourites, surprise, are Norwich to win it. Middlesbrough 8-1. Second favourites.
I think West Brom have got more chance than both of the 2 teams you've named.
Well, their top 3 is William Hill. So Norwich, Middlesbrough on 8s, Sheffield United on 10-1, and then you're into the 16 plus. That's where you don't really know Swansea, Stoke, Coventry, blah blah blah.
What are Luton out of curiosity?
Luton, 25-1 to win it outright. Yeah. Probably more realistically from a Millwall perspective, Neil, top 6 finish 3-1 with that's pretty short odds for Millwall.
Yeah, that's not bad considering that. Well, we've been there or thereabouts for a couple of seasons, haven't we? 3-1 isn't bad because I'd fully expect us to be in and around that zone again. The problem you've got is that. Yeah, we ain't going to win it because you've got clubs coming down that have got parachute pay.
You need a depth of squad that we're not going to achieve.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, you've got clubs that are earning 40 or 50 million pound in parachute payments, and you can't come anywhere near them, can you? So
no.
It would take an absolute minor merit. It would take us starting off like an express train, like H said. And then we'd have to really maintain that. So
I mean, it would have to get us to January, us being top, and you'd have to then Berylson would have to just fucking back it, wouldn't he?
It's just
It'd be
taking
one of them where they just go,
Yeah, but we'd have
this
to be
is our best ever
20
chance,
points.
fucking go for it.
Yeah, but we'd have to be 20 points clear. And but then you'd have to go to him, John, you're going to get 150 million in.
Maybe 250 million.
Well, whatever it is. Yeah, whatever you get for playing in the Premier League.
It's fielding injuries and the length of the season. I mean, I know we've got this break in November, World Cup break, but
that might suit us actually. Weirdly,
again, it might not. If we start off like H's express train, we don't want to be going into that with a load of momentum and then we don't play.
Then we lose it completely.
But then also we're blessed with not having many international players
and
compared to some of those ones.
And we're also blessed with not having the best medical facilities in the world. So we've always got
the butcher's room at Calmont Road is like Sweeney Todd.
We've always got 3 or 4 injured. So it would be quite good to see what the club do during that time. Will we see them play Premier League clubs behind closed doors just to keep things ticking over? I think they'll be doing something because you can't just say
switch it off.
You go.
I wonder if they'll go to. I wonder if they'll go to like a Middle East training camp and play against
some warm weather.
Well, maybe like not just Premier League clubs, but also you look at the leagues that aren't started at that point. Like the American League starts around, and that's just before they sort of get going. Maybe they'll go to the States or something for a few games or something like that.
I've never understood why, with John Berylson as our owner,
we don't go to the States.
Probably because they don't want us but
they don't want a travelling support.
Millwall fans end up in Guantanamo Bay.
They don't want us going on our jollies, do they? In America.
Could you imagine Millwall fans on their jollies in Boston?
One last thing on the bookmaking front.
If you want a tea party,
we're 7-1 to get relegated, chaps.
Has that come in or gone out? I don't know.
I don't know. I took these screenshots the other day.
Anybody, rather than waste your money on that, you might as well buy some crypto or some NFTs and waste your money that way, because I cannot see, famous last words, but I cannot see us being anywhere near the bottom of that, the bottom 5 or 6 of that table.
Why didn't you say that about the top bit? Because then if you get it wrong, you don't really give a fuck because you'll be so happy anyway.
I think there will be in and around the playoffs. So
don't say that either. You must.
I'm going to stick that Neil Fischler quote on an NFT and sell it. Give all the profits to the food hub. Just to close the show, boys, I just want to say well done to the community trust team that went out to Kenya. I don't know if you've been following any of this on Twitter. That group of, including Jack Clark, group of people from the community trust have gone over to Kenya with some
winning his own raffle, wasn't it?
Yes. They took a load of gear out there. They've now got some Kenyan village entirely kitted out in Millwall.
Yeah, they wrote lions. It's Millwall and it's got lions written. I've seen it on like the little school wall. It's got lions written over. But Derby were the last team to go there, so Derby had their name all over there, and they sort of painted over it. I just thought it was quite poetic justice. Even with Gary Rowett, it gets the Millwall Community Trust to do something that deletes Derby County.
But it was all the gear that we couldn't flog, and
last season's
brand new in bags.
Some really nice pictures, nice videos. Well done to everyone, Jack Clark particularly, for doing that. It's we can joke, but it does make a difference to these places, and I just think it's fantastically humorous to see an entire Kenyan village kitted out in Macron husky chocolate.
Maybe we should scat some of them.
Maybe that's the way forwards. Maybe that's the way forward.
They're all complaining that after one wash the badges fall.
They now think we're sponsored by Husk chocolate.
Yeah. To be fair, the new shirt, Hummel have said that they definitely won't fall off. So watch them come off after 2 washes.
Yeah, well, that's guaranteed, isn't it?
I quite like the new kit. I think it looks all right.
The new kit.
It looks quality. Yeah,
it's got shades with that lion built into it. it's got shades of the 2010 kit that the CYC one.
Oh, the
And
one with
a
that
bit-
lion, like
Yeah,
a
built in,
shadow
and the South
print, isn't it?
London and the old school South London Essex press one.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's the wrong colour blue, though, boys. Yeah,
dark blue. Don't like it
go
now.
back to the traditional blue.
Royal blue. Or
You want to go back to a traditional blue? I want us to go back to a traditional white, but that's not
Yeah,
going to
but the
happen
royal
either.
blue. Yeah, well, you can't have this shade of blue. It is not Millwall. Yeah, not the Millwall I know. Yeah,
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. It's
yeah, well, let's
take-
face it,
Can we
yeah?
have a third? If we do get to the playoffs, Millwall, this is your marketing part of the pod, right?
Yeah.
Have a third kit ready or a special kit ready because you'll sell it, right? Just pre-warning you. Have it sort of tucked away somewhere, and if not, use it next season. So order it now, just in
Right.
case we get to make money on it now, because all of Bermondsey will turn up to Wembley, as we all know, and you'll people that haven't been in 25 years will go, and you can flog it. And this is your marketing part of the pod.
Yeah, funnily enough, I was actually listening to The Price of Football, and they had the guy from Hummel on.
Right.
It was a very interesting listen. He said that these clubs or clubs with Hummel, they make the decision on the kit 6 months before
They need them.
Yeah, basically.
Because
So,
the lead into producing.
so we're judging by that. If H is right and we are going to appear at Wembley, you've got about a month and a half
Better get on it.
to Wembley kit, haven't you?
That's it.
But then
Great
again,
stuff.
I'd rather go up automatically than go up through the playoffs, to be honest.
You get a trophy for finishing second now, don't you?
Mate, you get a trophy for anything now. Yeah, well, you get a trophy and medals for bloody...
Last time we
When
done
did
this
the
show, we were
playoff?
talking about getting relegated. Now we're planning what shirt we're going to wear at Wembley,
It's very, very
and whether you get
simple,
a
right?
trophy for it.
It's very
Nick.
simple. I've been told that I'm too miserable, so I'm trying to
Yeah,
pervade
yeah, well, exactly.
a positive.
Like he's on a positivity streak. Yeah, well, let's embrace it just like you would a busty woman. Yeah. Let's embrace H's positivity for the new season.
There we
yeah?
are. I'm going to leave that image in the listeners' minds.
Jesus Christ.
Big thank you, Neil. Thank you for coming on the show, mate.
Yeah,
Appreciate
no
it.
problem, mate. No problem at all. Yeah, no, the Me Too movement is alive and kicking on the podcast.
And Millwall's Me Too here, Harry. Big thank you, H.
No problem. I'm reeling from that comment. I've never been speechless, but there's a first time for everything.
Anything for that. Thank you to you too, dear listeners. Hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll be back if we've had any more excitement in the transfer market. Until the next show, bye for now.
You have been listening to Achtung, Millwall. Please do leave us a review at Apple Podcasts. Danke schon. Up the lines.